now it's time for our featured story of the night. So we were going to talk about the Marvels, but unfortunately we're getting a little bit late. I think we've been a little bit fired up about what's been happening in the news. So I'm going to jump right to The Mandalorian because that's our big thing for today. The new episode of The Mandalorian came out today. Well, last night at midnight or 3 a.m. if you're on the East Coast. So Mandalorian is out by episode 7, The Spies, and they're calling it Survivors Come Out of Hiding. And of course, if you haven't watched Mandalorian, I always like to say this right away, spoiler alert, because we're going to get into some shit right now. So give you 2 seconds, and here we go. So the first thing is Moff Gideon, everybody. Moff Gideon's back. And I really love, I just want to start off with this. I really did love that they had the council in the beginning, the Shadow Council, and they were actually sitting there and talking about everything and talking about Thrawn, because that's the big bad I think that's coming. I really, see you, Rachel, I know you haven't watched it yet. Thrawn's the big bad coming, and I think it's all going to lead into, like we talked about the Star Wars announcement about the Mandalorian movie coming, putting all these Disney Plus things together. I think this is just leading towards it even more. I wouldn't be surprised if we see Thrawn before this is all said and done, but only time will tell with that. But I thought this episode was fun. It actually got more into like the meat and potatoes of the season. We're into the battle now. We have all the Mandalorians together. That standoff I thought was awesome, where they're all together. They get off the Imperial ships and they're like face to face and they join together. We're going to Mandalore. The baby Yoda, I still want to call him Baby Yoda, being in the robot was awesome. It made me so happy. But at the end of the day, this is really becoming more and more Bo-Katan's story, if you ask me. It really is. It's her taking the lead again, taking over, rising up, and bringing the Mandalorians back to their glory. And for me, I'm all about that journey, and I'm very excited to watch it go and see where they take it with only one episode left, which is blowing my mind that we have one left. And of course, this was like the longest episode of the season. It just beat out the whole Kang storyline, where Kane was like, trying to manipulate everything, and it's just like, it's bigger than that. It's more Mandalorians. It's just going the way I wanted it to go. I was hoping it would go. I want to go to Darin first. Darin's first time here talking about Mandalorian with us. Did this episode, was it good for you? Are you excited about it? How have you felt about this season so far?
Well, that's a lot of questions. I think
you can hit me with anyone you want.
I think I could prep you all those answers. Okay, so as a rule, I have this theory. I kind of developed this theory from a friend while he was explaining to me Sabrina's favorite show, Game of Thrones. The second to the last episode of every season is usually the best episode on a TV show. That very well, honestly, might be the case here. It was a good episode, but the question must be asked: why did it take 7 episodes to get here? I feel like they should have been here by episode 5. There's been some mismanagement of time, in my opinion, this season. Maybe that has something to do with Jon Favreau being like the point guy here and Dave Filoni being very busy with Ahsoka. You only have 8 episodes this season. The time should be used more wisely, in my view. There are 2 episodes this season, namely number 3 and 6, that I think are completely unnecessary. They barely move the story along. It's just not worth it. To me, Mandalorian is strong.
I agree with both of those statements, by the way.
Oh, thank you. To me, Mandalorian is strongest when it uses the structure of this old TV series called Kung Fu with David Carradine. Essentially, when Mandalorian's
great actor
alone, and he's helping people along the way with these various assignments, it's great. When it strays far from that, it's problematic, in my view. I like the big action sequence between the new Empire and the Mandalorian. I mean, you see that makes a show feel more like a feature film, which is, to me, is always the appeal of Star Wars. I also like how they've set up Thrawn and to be introduced, and he's an excellent villain. I mean, if you want to get to know Thrawn, watch Rebels, which is a great series with him there. But here's my final thought for you, Brian, and Sabrina. It's disappointing. In the end, the storyline does work in terms of the Empire is rising again, but I say it's disappointing because how many times in Star Wars are we going to use this storyline? The Empire is on the rise is just very overdone. The rebuilding of the Death Star, which you can trace back to Return of the Jedi, The Force Awakens, the entire storyline, the return of the Emperor in Rise of Skywalker, and now the climax of Mandalorian season 3. Come on, man! Gideon, I mean, he even looks like Darth Vader.
He does look like Darth Vader. You're 100% right.
Yeah, and look, I'm not going to say it doesn't work. It's just repetitive at this point, and this could just potentially wear on people's nerves. And this is a very similar climax, like you would see in every Spider-Man movie where Peter Parker's got to save, Mary Jane or Gwen Stacy. Just do something different, and that's what I'm burning on.
Yeah, I agree with you. Like episode 6, especially, like everyone's been going nuts about episode 6 because it became like this buddy cop, like I said last week, like a buddy cop episode. All of a sudden, Mando's the bad cop, Bo-Katan's the good cop, and they're going into the saloon, and they're gonna like try to find out what's happening. And it's like it was all leading up to her getting the Darksaber, and that's all that was about. And it was really like we could have done that much quicker and then got to Mandalore. And then we could have spent more time here. And it went really fast. Like it's 50 minutes, but it went fast because we've been waiting for this to happen. And now we're waiting for what's going to happen next week because how much more story do you have to tell? Of course, be like another big battle probably, right? We have to go back in there. We have to help Mando. We have to take out Moff Gideon. Like, how much more is there? We could have stretched this out longer. I just don't want it to be rushed. That happens a lot. They rushed the last episode because they put fillers in. And there should be no fillers anymore with 8 episodes. There shouldn't be. We have 22 episodes. Great. We can have some fillers. That happens, But at 8 episodes, just like you're saying, we need to actually get into it faster. And we don't want to do the same thing over and over again. Of course, Dan Filoni had worked on he worked on all the Rebels. He worked on the Clone Wars stuff. He was like George Lucas's guy for a while. So he goes back to that world, I think, a little bit. And I think that's probably why Moff Gideon kind of looks like Darth Vader in a way. They need a big bad. They don't have Thrawn yet. So I'm just like, I'm happy we got there, and that's what made me excited about it. But I think a lot of people got fatigued by this, and they stopped watching it because we didn't get here sooner. And here we are. We're finally there, episode 7. Sabrina, how are you feeling about this? You hear about this. You watched it. You've been watching the whole time. We've been talking about it. I can tell you've been a little bit upset about the show in general. What are your thoughts on episode 7, The Spies?
Everything. You built up an entire episode of things I fucking hate. So that's exciting for everyone to listen to. This episode, I know you think it was great, and I liked it. I didn't love it. I just didn't love it because you know what? He challenged her about the Darksaber, and she went to the other side of the room she was trapped in and cut a hole in it for people to get out. Why didn't you cut a hole in it to help fucking Mando, bitch? Like, I don't understand why you wouldn't have taken the Darksaber and cut a hole to help Mando while he was being fucking strangled by the Empire. Like, I really don't know, and that really pissed me off, and so I am going to give it a hard no in that respect.
And Paz,
I was really fucking pissed about that. Like, when I saw her cut through the fucking steel of the room, I was like, oh, you bitch. Like, why didn't you do that 10 minutes earlier? Like, when we could have saved him. And then, when that guy stayed behind, who I actually kind of grew to love,
Paz,
badass fucking rebel fucking gun and fucking kick the shit out of those people. And then those 3 like American Horror Story bitches came out and fucking snaked him. And I was like, well,
from The Last Jedi,
the Praetorian Guard.
I'm just saying it wasn't even a fight. Like, he couldn't have even gotten one of those off those ledge. Like, it was just annoying. I don't love Baby Yoda in Taika Waititi's fucking body either. Like, that's kind of weird for me.
It gives him a voice. That's what this is all about, I think. Give him a voice, now he can say yes or no.
I know. I like that he stopped them and, the yes and no. Like, whatever. I don't know. I'm not in love with that. And I'm definitely not in love with the fact that she used the Darksaber for an exit, but not to save fucking Mando. Like, what the fuck?
See you, Mando. Good luck. Best of luck in your future endeavors.
They're like being in the winter, like, we can't get you. And then she's like, I'm like, what the fuck? Like, it really annoyed me. It really annoyed me.
They're banking really hard on Bo-Katan this season, and
yes, they are.
I love her. I
think Bo-Katan, is her being like a number 2 or sharing the number 1 with Mando?
I think she's number 1. Yeah,
it's working, but I mean, my thing is like, are you going to start phasing Mando out? I think the people want to know this, and I
think so too.
No, I feel like Mando is going to just be Mando, like he always has been. He's going to go off and do other things, and like she is going to run the Mandalorians. Like, that's my guess.
There's conversations about that online saying, is he going to be done? Are they going to kill him off? That's a big thing trending right now.
No.
And people are asking Pedro. It's like, you never know. Will they make it her show? I mean, I don't know. I feel like you can, but what do you think, Darin? Can you kill her off? Can you kill him off? Can you make this Bo-Katan show?
I honestly, like, I think it's risky because, like, I
Where
don't
does
want
Baby Yoda go?
because, like, I've done, I've watched TV like you guys watch TV. Like, you can't predict the future wholeheartedly with complete confidence, but I'm not prepared
True.
to say that Bo-Katan can carry this series. Maybe she carries
No.
a separate series, that is
Yeah.
more revolved around her. But, like, I'm also going to be like, hey, I mean, look, she's doing really good this series, but she hasn't dominated the screen. She's still, like, has people in the frame with her. So until she
Yep.
does that, and at moments she has. Look, she had a really good speech in that little fight scene in episode 6 that did have some positives for sure. She's had her moments, but I don't know. Like, I think that Mandalorian's an ensemble piece at this point. If you pull characters out of there, it's potentially harmful. I mean, I'm still missing Gina Carano on this a lot. I loved her character. Like, I think that this show definitely has a different personality without her. I don't know if that's intentional or unintentional, but I would just say after removing her, I would be very careful removing characters off of this series because the result to me is undetermined.
Yeah, and the thing is too, they were saying that maybe she was actually dead. There's a whole rumor online that maybe she was dead in that ship, or Moff Gideon was supposed to be. And
Yeah.
now it makes sense. Like the Mandalorian medal was there. It makes sense because they're actually been using it for all the new stormtroopers, and they've been integrating into their suits and making them more like a hybrid now, which is going to lead towards it all tying into into the Force Awakens and the sequel trilogy. So they're really just kind of bridging the gap. And you saw that again with the Last Jedi. Guards that came in. It's like tying that gap and like little Easter eggs for fans. But like, yeah, this is all leading up to that. And there's also the whole storyline. Well, I think leading towards the clone stuff to be about Palpatine coming back, like showing you how that happened and how Snoke came to be, and that's what this cloning stuff is about. And it's really like it's filling the gap. It's great, but we do love those stories with Mando, and if we don't have Mando, how do we have a story? People love this show for baby Yoda, for Grogu. If you don't have him,
like literally the only reason why I watched that show is because of that Baby Yoda. Like I'd walk by it 1,000 times, and I was like, the show's fucking stupid, and then I'd see Baby Yoda, and I'd sit down and be like, it's so cute.
Yeah,
I'd watch.
And I'm going to throw some quick shade at something real quick on this. So
better not be Baby Yoda.
Back in episode 3, when I'll throw shade at him too, but it's not his fault.
Don't do it.
I don't think Baby Yoda much to do. But the thing is like, so Katie O'Brien's character, who debuted in episode 3 and then has the discussion with Moff Gideon episode 7. I just have to ask once again, with mismanagement, do we need episode 3 to have her basically dominate the screen for an entire episode for what
exactly
minimal payoff? Minimal payoff. She's not going to probably play much into the next episode. And if they're like, oh, well, we're setting her up for season 4, I don't care about that.
I agree.
I want to see, like, what does she have to do with this season? Because you dedicated way too much time to it.
Yep, I agree. And also the fucking guy who, like, she set up to fucking take the fall and then fucking nuked. Like, what is the fucking point of that? Like, literally, what was the point of that? Like, I thought
there'd be more about him, but then there's like nothing. I thought
it's like, is she trying to fry him so that she can reprogram him for the fucking Empire? Like, they've made no clarity on that. And even if they touch on it next episode, like, they can go fuck themselves. It was a waste of fucking time.
There's no time for a next episode. There really isn't. There's one episode. There's only time for literally just.
They gave them a whole standalone episode that was 100% unnecessary. Darin, I agree with you 100%.
Yeah. It could have been a quarter of an episode,
I don't think most people are like, oh my God, look at the cliffhanger at the end of a Mandalorian season. Like, nobody thinks that way. So you have to give them everything they want in the season, in my view. But we'll see.
And for how limited time you have, too. And there's only, as you say, it's only one episode left. Springer's like, why? There's only one episode left. It seems like there should be so much more to come, but rude. There's not. There's just not. And that's what they're doing these days. They're making the episodes shorter, and they're not a fixed rate. They're like 34 minutes, 42, 50, all of them are 28. It's like a
whole episode of trying to get the other Mandalorians to like join them. And like fucking the whole Christopher Lloyd, Lizzo, fucking Jack Black thing. Like, I'm like, really?
Do we need that?
We're wasting a whole episode on this bullshit right now, like, so that they can talk to the
buddy cop movie.
Like, just stop. It's just not necessary. Like, please just push the story forward. Like in some, I don't know. It seemed like so forced to me. Like that third episode seemed, like with going through we're back in the New Republic and everything's cool. And then she gave him the biscuit. It's like, nobody gives a fuck. Like, just stop. Like, it's like wasting our time.
That's almost as bad as the 2-episode spinoff they did in the middle of Book of Boba Fett, where Boba Fett was not even in 2 episodes. It was almost a different thing. Because remember, they did a Mandalorian storyline for 2 episodes.
They did. Yep. But I loved that because I loved Mandalorian. And I was like, oh, Luke Skywalker. Oh, shit's happening. Like, I wanted to see that. I was annoyed that he couldn't operate the fucking Darksaber. Don't get me wrong. But I wanted to see that because I'm a Mandalorian fan. And I feel like the ratings were very low on Boba Fett. And so they juiced it with Mandalorian. And now then it's not even a show, though. I see this bullshit,
Yeah. But then it's like you can't even tell a whole story. Yeah, I know. Where's Boba Fett?
Where the fuck is Boba Fett?
But how do you have
through Boba Fett? Bring Boba Fett in here. He's gonna show up.
He might be there in the last episode. He might show up. But the thing is, like, then maybe that's just been a movie Boba Fett, as opposed to doing a series. You don't have the content to actually do like a whole series about him. I know people are mixed about that. Some people love that because they're like, it's real because they love Mando. And they love Baby Yoda, and they loved like seeing Luke come back. That was cool to see Luke with Baby Yoda on his back, but that doesn't really fit into that world with that series, So
I agree, but I did enjoy those episodes.
Yeah. But anyways, everybody, Mandalorian episode 7 is out. If you liked it, you hated it, let us know. Leave some comments as always. We love talking about it. We'll be back here next week for the very last episode of the season. And I'm excited to see where it goes. I really am. I don't know, like, hopefully at the end of it, I'm not like, why did we do this? Hopefully I'm at least fulfilled enough where I want to watch another season. And I'm excited as Dave Filoni is for the movie because it seems like he's super stoked about it. But I don't know. Only time will tell.